back to Inside the 261. We hope you were able to watch our last episode, which focused on the Parents as Teachers program and their Blue Ribbon Award. If you missed it, you can catch it and all previous episodes. You can find them on our district YouTube page. So what are we talking about today, Jeff?
You know, first of all, I want to give a shout out. This is our 4th episode already. We'll see if we get on reruns or not. So today we have 2 guests that are going to join us that are going to help us process with our community and our staff how we work through a snow day. We've had some snow days recently, and for a lot of staff and students, those are great days. They're days off, you know, staying watching TV, playing video games. But a lot of others in our district are hard at work on those days. So we're going to talk a little bit about that process.
I cannot wait to hear about it. Sounds like we're up to snow good.
Yeah.
Let's get started. We're going to start today by welcoming BJ Knudson. BJ, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the district and how long you've been doing it.
So my name is BJ Knudson. I'm the Executive Director of Operations for the Haysville Schools. I've actually been in the Haysville Schools for 23 years. I started out as a paraeducator my first year, and then taught special ed for 9 years, transportation for 4, and now I've done this for 10 and a half, almost 11 years.
A little bit of everything. I knew you were a teacher, but I didn't know you were a para. That's amazing.
Yep.
So BJ, today we're talking about inclement weather and school closures. And like we talked about earlier, you know, that's an exciting day for students and staff who get to stay home. A little different for you and your department. How does that inclement weather impact what you do on a snow day, and more importantly, how you prepare?
Absolutely. Well, snow days impact us well before the snow day actually gets here. Our custodial staff make sure that they have shovels, ice melt, that their salt spreaders are working. And then in the maintenance department, we make sure we have our plows on, deliver the ice melt to everybody. We run gators with blades on them, some side-by-sides with blades on them. So then we also have a plan. We always have to have a plan depending on when school is canceled. We may not know till the day of, or we know in advance. It's always a lot easier when we know in advance.
I think it's a lot easier for everybody when they know in advance.
Absolutely.
Well, it always looks great when we get back to school. So tell me a little bit about the process you go through for clearing the parking lot specifically.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, we always have kind of 2 plans. If we're having school that day, we're tentative time comes in about 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll hit secondary schools first. Mainly we'll hit bus drives and sidewalks, then elementary schools after that. If we know we're not having school, we usually come in a little bit later, and each one of our guys, so we have 7 plow trucks, each one kind of have a school they go to. We have some that hit sidewalks. We'll start out kind of Oakville is the first one we start out. We do the ones kind of around this area. The last one we hit is actually Campus High School because it's the biggest and it takes the longest.
4 o'clock in the morning, that is early.
We did that last week on Wednesday morning, so.
Wow.
And as I recall, your team also worked on Saturday.
Yeah, we did. We worked on Saturday. We had a few work on Sunday. So last week during the days we had off, we worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
So can you estimate how many hours you think you and your team have put in to get our buildings ready for staff and students to return?
I can say I know that some of our guys had upwards of 62, 63 hours.
Wow.
I approved time cards last week. It also, we kind of had our work slowed a little bit due to a water line break at HMS that Monday morning. So
that kind of leads into our next question, BJ. You know, we've got the district right now is working through a process to make some improvements, capital improvements to our facilities through a bond process. How will the inclement weather, when you're dealing with roofs that are needing of repair, heating and air units that are old, outdated, and pipes that are 40, 50 years old in buildings, how does that cold weather impact that and what you guys do?
Well, there's lots of things that the weather does impact, and our air conditioning units, heating units are greatly affected. We have a lot of units that are 20 years old, so they're well past their life expectancy. Some are 30 years old. We've had instances where the heater doesn't work right, breezes a pipe, may break. We also have had instances where the heaters try and fire. They try and fire, well then it's just putting direct gas into classrooms where we have to go air out the classroom, try and get it fixed so we can continue to have school. So there's a great effect on all the equipment we have. We do try and make sure, like this cold spell coming up, we'll run our heating all week long, just due to the forecast, and hope that nothing freezes or breaks over those days.
So last Monday, when we had a professional development day, I understand you had a little issue at Haysville Middle School.
Yeah, we had a water line break just in their main hallway, and it was one of the hot water lines, and it was just water went everywhere. So we were fortunate enough that our maintenance staff was already kind of headed in, and most of our custodial staff showed up to help clean it up.
It's my understanding that valve that broke may have been the original.
It was the original, and there's another one right next to it that is in dire need of repair. We're going to wait until we don't need heat. Hopefully it'll last that long, and then we'll go back in and fix it.
BJ, you lead an amazing team. How do they deal with the challenges of inclement weather and school closures?
Well, Penny, I will say I do have an outstanding staff that works for me. I tell people all the time I put them up against any other district staff in other districts. For instance, 2 years ago, December of 22, on Christmas Eve, this room actually was underwater. We had a pipeline break about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sent out a text. I had almost every guy show up on Christmas Eve to help clean the water. We came back on the 26th, relayed all the carpet. So I do have a fantastic team that shows up. Nobody's afraid to get the work done. Like I said, we put in lots of hours to make sure everything's safe for everybody to come to school.
That is incredible, but it doesn't happen without great leadership as well. So good job.
Thank you.
BJ, I think the last question we would have for you, is there anything you would like to share with the community or discuss the challenges that you face during inclement weather and meeting the needs of the district?
Yeah, I'll say that there are lots of different challenges we face during severe weather. This last time, I'll tell you, snow removal is very, very hard on equipment. We did have lots of things break down. I shared with our principals that we threw more ice melt in the last storm than I think we've probably thrown in the past 4 or 5 years. But we get out there, our guys, we work hard, custodial staff, maintenance staff, to make sure the parking lots and sidewalks are clear for staff and students to safely get in and out of the school.
Well, thank you and your team for all that you do. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
I would just like to echo that. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here today, BJ.
I appreciate it.
We are very excited to be here with Justin Bloomer. Justin, will you tell us a little bit about what you do for our district and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, I'm the Director of Transportation here. I've been in the district 17 years. I was a teacher at HMS first, and I'm going in year 4 of being the Director of Transportation now.
And what did you teach?
I was a PE and weights teacher at HMS.
Fantastic.
So overseeing transportation, how many students, I'm just curious, do you transport, or not you, but your department transport on a daily basis?
Yeah, roughly we transport about 2,000 students on a daily basis.
And I'm curious if you might know, how many miles a year do your drivers log?
We roughly log around 650,000 miles a year. That includes trips and obviously routes and everything, but yeah, about 650,000 miles a year.
So you transport 2,000 plus kids every day. So when we have a snow day, how does that inclement weather impact you and your department?
Yeah, so obviously with transportation, everything is based around safety. And what we want to do is we got to get there early. We want to make sure buses start, but not only buses start, we got to make sure all the safety features work. Stop sign comes out, all the doors open up, the emergency exits, windows, all of those are not froze over, and those open, doors open. It takes a long time with 65 plus buses that we're doing. It's quite a chore.
So I believe it was last Monday when we had the professional development day, your team was in working. How many of your bus doors were frozen shut on that ice from that ice storm?
Almost all of them. They really were, just the way the weather came in, and that was probably the most difficult thing that we did was we had to de-ice all the doors before we could actually even try to start the buses. And then once we get the buses started, obviously the defrosters, mirror heaters, all stuff like that. But then, you're working on the windows and you're working on the rear doors, the hatches, everything like that. Yeah, they were all frozen. We had some de-icer delivered to help us out. And so, yeah, it was very challenging.
And that compounded with having not ran any routes for a couple of weeks coming off of a break.
For sure. We had probably 13 to 15 buses not start. Then it goes into, the mechanics working, trying to figure out what the issues are. A lot of it is batteries, sitting there, the cold snaps, drastic change of weather really affects the batteries and is a big issue for us.
So obviously you have a lot to do on snow days. What are some of the unique challenges you face, like with side streets and other issues that we wouldn't even think about?
Yeah, so obviously we bring our staff in early. First thing we want to do is we want to make sure our employees are safe. So it's clearing the lots, clearing the sidewalks so that they're able to get into the buildings. Obviously starting the buses, making sure all the windows, mirrors, everything is clear so that when the buses do get out on route, it's kind of a normal day. Obviously it's going to be a little slower. Like you said, safety first, take your time. But yeah, we just stay on route. We stay as slow as we can. We want to make sure we're picking up everyone and going as slow as we can for sure.
Well, you do a great job at keeping us rolling.
So people may not know this, but you and I and BJ talk regularly before we call a snow day and always ask your opinion. What is probably the driving factor for you when deciding if you can transport students either during or after inclement weather?
Yeah, so the main thing is we got to make sure the buses are running. And if we can get the buses running and, we feel like the roads are safe for our staff to drive on, because not only safe for our staff, but we're picking up, hundreds of kids, thousands of kids on a daily basis. Are those roads okay for the buses to be on? Whether it be a mini bus or a big bus, is it safe for them, safe for the students to be outside, to wait for the bus to get there? A lot of questions and calls that we get on those days is the bus going to wait for the students? And it's really hard to, answer that. We want the buses to stay on route as close as we can. If we would wait 1 or 2 minutes at every extra bus stop, the last couple bus stops that we picking up, those kids are waiting out there an additional 15 to 30 minutes extra.
Oh, wow.
So we really try to stay on track as far as, pickup times and everything. And it's just, that's what's tough for maybe the community or parents to understand.
Put you on the spot a little bit. Which is a bigger challenge for you, ice or extreme cold?
Oh, wow. That's tough. Well, we're preparing for this next storm coming through. We've had all the mechanics check all the batteries that we have. If we need to buy new ones or get new ones because they're not operating properly. It's the drastic change of weather. Where we're getting ready to see a 50-degree change. Right. From Friday to maybe Saturday night. That's what really affects the equipment, the buses, the engines, even the coolers that we have, the heater. So yeah, it's very challenging. I would say that probably the drastic cold. Obviously, ice is not easy to work with either. But yeah, probably the drastic cold for sure.
You know what they say about Kansas, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll be different. Sure. So what have we forgotten to ask you, Justin? Is there anything else you want to tell us about what goes into your job on a snow or inclement weather day? Yeah,
we're just like BJ and his crew, we're in no matter what. Transportation is going to come in, whether we have school or we don't have school, because we want to be prepared for the next day. And we want to make sure the vehicles start, buses start, we're ready to go, windows are all cleared, everything's working properly from a safety aspect, if something would happen. So yeah, we're always working and doing the best that we can with the staff.
Well, thank you for keeping us safe and keeping us moving, and we really appreciate you being here today.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Justin.
Appreciate it, thank you guys.
Jeff, I was not aware of everything that goes into a day off for inclement weather.
I tell you what, we are very, very, very fortunate in our district to have the great team that we do in our transportation department, our maintenance department. They put in a lot of hours that nobody ever sees. And the one thing that rang out in both of those interviews was safety, and safety of the students, safety of the staff, and those that are driving or out working in that. And again, it's that caring about kids, caring about our staff, and ensuring that they have a safe place to learn. It's okay for them to drive. One of the things is, as you look at canceling school, is how will a teenage driver handle these kind of conditions? And we have a lot of students at Campus High School and Haysville High School that drive to school every day. And that's definitely a challenge and something that we have to take into consideration as well.
Both those departments do an outstanding job taking care of us, and we appreciate it.
Yes, they do.
For today's launch, we have a top 5 countdown of the 5 reasons that our staff loves snow days. Number 5, you get to go to the bathroom whenever you want and however many times you want.
Number 4, you get to eat a meal at a table instead of from a to-go box or out of a Tupperware container at 9 in the morning.
Number 3, you get to snicker at that parent on Facebook who says their kids are driving them nuts.
Number 2, you don't have to choose between laundry and sleep because you finally have time to do them both.
And finally, number 1, you can actually hear yourself think. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Inside the 261.
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 Inside the 261.